Well, good morning, everybody. It's a gorgeous Saturday morning. um, a little warm. I mean, it is July. The longest day of the year was yesterday. So, yeah, my garage yesterday evening said that it was 100 degrees in the garage. And, that's only because the sun bakes on the building and gets everything super hot inside. Opened up the garage door for a minute, got down to like 98, but it was still a scorcher yesterday. But yeah, Riley's gotten her walk. I've gotten breakfast. I have been in here trying to get prepared for everything because it's going to be a busy, busy weekend. Right now, I have my live going on right now, which, started a minute ago. Uh, this afternoon on my friend Stephanie's channel at 4 p.m. Eastern, we are doing a jelly roll race for charity. And I picked a gorgeous fabric line to do. So I've got to start getting that a little bit prepped. And then tomorrow is Stephanie and Shannon's retreat. So I've been trying to get my fabric ready for that. I've printed out the patterns, and thankfully I started looking at everything because when I printed Shannon's patterns, it has some paper piecing templates, and I was stupid and printed front and back. So I have to reprint the paper piecing templates after this so that I'm ready for tomorrow. So it's a good thing I looked at things today. But it's going to be a fun weekend. I am excited for all the stuff. We also this afternoon have our neighborhood um, summer shindig block party thingy. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well. So yeah, I'm going to be running from all day today and all day tomorrow, and hopefully I can get everything cut for the stuff tomorrow, because if not, I'm in trouble. So I'm going to say hi to folks that are in the chat. We have my good friend Steven. Hi, Steven. He is going to be part of the Jelly Roll race this afternoon. He said in his So Chatty episode yesterday, we all know who's going to win the race, but I've also been told it's just the name, it's not really race. We have Jan and Jeannie E. Good morning. Steven says June 21st is Get Naked and Run Around Stonehenge Day. Stonehenge Day. Yeah, you won't catch me doing that. There's laws in at least 17 states and 3 countries against me getting naked. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Cassandra, who says it's the first time here live. Hello from Oklahoma. Well, thank you for joining me, Cassandra. We try to have a little bit of fun, and hello from Georgia. Amy C says hello, everyone. Charlotte says hi there. And Jan is greeting a whole bunch of people in the chat. So, good morning, everybody. I'm glad you were able to make it. Oh, look, there's Mona Balloonist. Yes, Charlotte, I did see Shannon's email this morning. It's a good thing I didn't start cutting, even though I have plenty of fabric. Yeah, I slightly overbought, but that's besides the point. I don't care. So this morning, what we are working on is the Saturday sampler block from, yeah, that way, from the local quilt shop. It is a modified Ohio Star variant, whatever we want to call it. And I can't give these directions out, but I did find, again, a similar block. It's in the description below if you want to join me and do your own adventure of a Saturday sampler. I think it's just kind of close. You just have to replace the center block with another quarter square triangle, and don't do some snowballing on some of the pieces. and you can get the exact same block as here. So I hunted up, down, left, right, BA start to find the exact pattern, but I could not. And I am not one to sit here and look at a picture and try to write my own pattern. So apologize that you don't have an exact pattern to follow, but it will be, again, close enough. And hey, maybe the block that you see in the description is one that you are more interested in doing versus this, because it is your own adventure with this Saturday sampler. I have everything cut out, but I did make a modification to the pattern, because the pattern tells us to do half square triangles and then lay them on top of each other and do half square triangles again to make the quarter square triangles. I don't like doing that. It ends up wasting a couple blocks of fabric, and I'm like, that's just too much work. So what I did is I cut up the squares that they tell us to cut, and I'm sorry, I'm mentally doing math. Hopefully I did it right. Where's my button? That button. But I ended up cutting my squares into quarters, and we'll be piecing them as halves in order to do it that way. So I think that's going to be a little bit better, just because when you do the two half square triangles face to face, you can feel that you're lining up in the very center, but if it slips just a little bit, you don't get that perfect point in the center. And you can do the same size cutting as with the half square triangle method, or you can cut a little bit bigger, which is what a lot of people like to do. That way you trim down. So yeah, now let me see if I can line these up into the quarter square triangles that they want me to make. So, and then I have a colored picture. I just realized that, because I'm like, how am I going to do this looking at black and white? So I'm just going to line up the pieces that I know real quick. And there's 4 of these that are like this. Good morning, Katie Crafts. I hope you're having a good day. Steven says he's listening to Russ, whoever this person Russ is, because it's only got one S, teehee, and working on Underground Railroad, so commenting may be sparse. Your Underground Railroad quilt looks a lot of fun, and that's going to be a lot of great. Charlotte also says it's going to be gorgeous. Stephanie says wanted to say hello to Russ and everyone, but can't stay because it's a super busy day. She can't wait to see the block is finished. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Okay, so we got 4 pieces that are like this. And this one is interesting because all 4 quarter square triangles that are going around the block aren't exactly the same. So I'm just grabbing pieces, getting them in the right order. And for the bottom of the quarter square triangles, 2 of them are this gorgeous green, and 2 of them are this polka dot. And then there's another quarter square triangle that I have to do that takes 2 of the purples and 2 of the polka dots. So my method that I did, I just have these as spares because you're going to have that if you're going to use half-half square triangles. But I think you end up with 2 full blocks, or a lot more spare if you did the instructions that are in the pattern. So to do this sewing, I like to do it, and I just moved everything, so if I can shift it so that they are all facing the same direction, I'm going to do one at a time. Where did I leave my glasses? There they are. Do them one at a time, and if you start from the center, it doesn't matter if your edges are, a couple threads off. Everything will come together nicely. Just do not stretch your fabrics because this is all on the bias. And do your best to try to keep everything straight and even. Which is really everything that we're doing when we're quilting, is trying to keep everything straight and even. I'm going to quickly do the one center block so you can see the full method, and then I will chain piece the 4 outside blocks. So what is everybody working on today? I'm sure I'm not the only one with a busy weekend. We saw Steven is working on Underground Railroad, and Stephanie is working on a whole bunch of stuff. I saw, who was it? Katie Crafts is prepping fabrics for the virtual retreat tomorrow. I am very excited about that. Okay, these scissors are snips, whatever we want to call them, are starting to be unhappy. Now I'm debating which way to press. And I think I'm going to press this way. Let me make sure. Nope. I'm going to press this way. So if I have the flat piece up, I'm going to be pressing it to the right. And I'll show you why I'm pressing to the right in a moment. But there definitely is a reason. Kansas says another hot day in Georgia, already over summer. I second that opinion. With our neighborhood block party shindig today, it's always a hot day when we have it. It's amazing that we're always able to schedule it every year and it never rains on it. And they always rent a giant water slide for the kids, so that's always a lot of fun. So the reason why I pressed it in the direction I did was, at this point everything nests, but it also nests in the direction that, as it's going through, it's going to be pushing against itself as it's trying to go through the machine. So that'll help, again, lock it into place very, very tightly. And then again, you just line it up and press it, sew it through. And we have a perfect half square triangle, and or quarter square triangle. And if you look at that center point, it is pretty spot on just because of the directions. Now with the back, I'm going to pop those couple stitches in the center, and I am going to twist my seams because that'll help reduce that little bit of bulk just here in the center. It doesn't reduce bulk anywhere else, but it does reduce that bulk in the center. And here is our quarter square triangle. It does need to be trimmed just a hair. I I believe this unit is supposed to be 4.5, and mine came out to be about 4 3/4. So I will trim these before they get put into the block. But I am going to do like I said and stack everything up and get to chain piecing these other pieces. I am excited for Stephanie's live this evening, afternoon, whatever we want to call 4 o'clock. I have an awesome charity that I'm trying to get a hold of for my quilt, and I will give full details about the charity in during her live. That way I don't spoil anything. So if you want to know more, you have to join us on her channel at 4 o'clock Eastern. Sue is doing the final cutting as well, and then going to wind oh yeah, thank you, Sue, for reminding me to wind some bobbins. So that's two things that I have to do that is not fabric cutting related. I have to wind some bobbins, I have to reprint the foundation pattern. I have to figure out what I'm going to have for breakfast tomorrow. And make sure my alarm is set so that if I'm not making my breakfast, that I have time to go get it. And now that I'm thinking about it and it's too late, this would have been a perfect block to test the square up rulers that I purchased from Fallon a little while ago. I just don't know where they are currently sitting. So I'll still do it the traditional way. Charlotte is saying that Soya has a link to Stephanie's event today. I saw that because I got tagged in it as well. That's exciting. I got a message. I was like, why is Soya trying to send me a message? And I pulled it up and saw that it was the link to the event. I'm like, oh, that's exciting that they shared it. I am excited to hear about everybody's charities. And like I said, the charity that I picked has a close to home meaning, so I'm all excited for that. It's probably the first time that I'm doing something major for a non-puppy charity. Because I'm more for the puppies than for the humans. No offense, humans. I've done quite a bit locally for the Homeless Pets Foundation when I can. Okay, and reminding myself, I said that I would do it this way and press it to The right. Okay. Good morning, Maritz's Yarn and Crafts, who says, Hola! One of the like four Spanish words that I know. I tell everybody the only Spanish I know is what I learned from Sesame Street. Charlotte says she loves spinning seams. Okay, there's half of them. I think I have these whites on backwards, maybe. I'm trying to see if I can. Yep, they're on backwards, and I don't care. Because that's just going to mean more time for me to rip. If it bothers me enough, I have enough fabric to remake the block. But if it took me this much work to figure out if the fabric is backwards, nobody is going to notice and care. That's the big problem with white on white is it's hard to tell. Like if you see this, that's the front side and that's the back side. It's hard to tell. So if it bothers me, I will correct it. If it doesn't bother me, I will just leave it. As I'm trying to do something completely wrong. This is why I can't rant at myself and sew at the same time. How did I do this wrong? These are pressed backwards. Somehow. Half of them were pressed backwards. And it was when I went to rant on myself that I got them backwards. So that's why you don't need to stop in the middle of your thoughts. I still have them backwards. What am I doing wrong? Okay, they need to go this way. It's a good thing that this afternoon's project is a simple one that doesn't require thinking. This week at work, everything was falling to pieces. Hey, Sean. He says he goofed up on his live today, so I'm not alone. I sent a message to my sister because she's going to a wedding this today up in the town or city of Sydney. I just can't remember if it's in Nova Scotia or Newfoundland. But it's where Art East is. So that was like a funny thing. I said, you should go visit them and, tell John that you want some goats in pajamas. His her favorite animal is goats, and she fell in love with the pattern last year when John was on your live. Because I was up there visiting her when that happened. In Massachusetts, not in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia, okay. I don't know why I keep thinking Newfoundland. I know my manager 2 companies ago was from Nova Scotia. And he got this whole higher than thou attitude. It was like, you probably don't even know where Nova Scotia is. And I was like, it's right here, da 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 da. And he's like, how do you know this? I was like, because my brother-in-law lives there. Or not lives there. It was born there. And they go every couple of years to visit the family. Tell her to bring me the pattern. I'm hoping she just buys the kit and sends it to me, and then I'll make it to her for her. Because she's done that a couple times. She's bought kits or bought fabric and said, I want this. And I'm like, okay. Or in the case of the table runners, I bought the fabric and said, okay, you're going to get it. It also means that she's probably getting the bag that we are making at the retreat tomorrow. Because she said that she wants all of my trial bags. And I was like, okay. The next piece is to grab these squares. I've decided I'm not going to press these yet. I'll just do a mass, pressing event momentarily. And these I have checked which side was right side up, so I know which way is right. How is everybody handling the heat bubble that is happening somewhere around? I don't watch the news anymore or watch the weather, so I don't really pay attention too much as to what's happening. In fact, the forecast here, I don't even go up and say, okay, is it going to be nice? Is it going to be whatever? Just because it's all virtually the same. It slowly gets warmer in the spring, slowly gets cooler in the fall. There'll be rain there, but I can't control the rain, and the rain doesn't really affect my wardrobe. So I don't really watch the weather to see, what's coming in, what's not. I will get notices from things that say, hey, storms are coming. if it's hurricane season, which I got a story about that in a second. Uh, and hopefully, the everything just ends up blowing over. Found out yesterday the hurricane names for the 2024 season includes my sister's name. Also includes my mother's name. Okay, I gotta pop one stitch just so that this pinwheel happens properly because it's not popping itself. Come on, get in there. There we are. So yeah, if it doesn't open up on its own, you just have to pop that one stitch in the center and it's fine. So yeah, the whole hurricane season, if we get a Hurricane Francine or a Hurricane Patty, I know who to blame. Good morning, Denise. So patch 33. Jan says, as long as I have air, I'm okay. That's basically my philosophy. I can go from air conditioned car to air conditioned building, as long as my air conditioner doesn't go out again. And I can go from, air conditioned building back to air conditioned car. And wintertime, it's go from heated car to heated building, and heating building to heated car. And when I was playing Pokemon Go, I was still in shorts in December. But that's because I was running around so much and you got the radiant heat from the sun. There we go. This block is going to be so gorgeous. Jan says she likes winter except bad roads. The one thing that I hated when I was living up north was when it would snow in the winter. And I had to wait until a road got plowed. Okay, I've got those which are going to need to be trimmed. Let me finish this. And as I get them trimmed, then they can go. Okay, I have to pay attention because according to the pattern, two of them go this way and two of them go the other way. just so that you could have that vertical symmetry up top. So if you look at the pattern here, it's got this, I'm sorry, horizontal symmetry. So you need to make sure that two go one way and two go the other. Jan is asking what the fabric line is that I'm working with. It's called On the Bright Side. I don't remember from who or which company. I just know that it's On the Bright Side. This is a Saturday sampler program at my local quilt shop, which is why I can't share the pattern. Also, I can't share the pattern if I purchase it somewhere else. It's impossible to join the Saturday sampler program unless you are in person. So that's why I don't advertise which quilt shop it is. But yeah, I usually try to figure out what the fabric line is in case I want to go hunt some more of the fabric. But I don't know how to hunt more of the fabric because I don't know how big this is going to finish. And without knowing how big it's going to finish, there is no point in me trying to hunt down a backing fabric. Although I would really love that purple to be my backing. So maybe I should, because I have no idea how much they're going to have left over from anything. They try to support us with the stuff, but I have no idea what their plans are for finishing. I have no idea what is going to end up happening, so it's going to be fun. Jan says it's gorgeous. I fell in love with this fabric when I saw it at Saturday Sampler and said, I need to do that. The other two colors, they're fun, but they aren't bright. And we all know I like to work with the bright fabrics. And it's got just enough of the happiness, the brightness, and everything that I think that this was perfect. I may just end up buying a few yards of the purple without knowing what the backing that they're going to offer is. Because I know they won't give us any hints. They have told us a couple times in the past what the finished product is going to be, only because they took a block of the month pattern and turned it into Saturday Sampler. So you got to see what the end product was, and they would give options on finishing, because some people would want to finish it the same way that the block of the month was designed. Some people want to finish it at like if there's they had a block of Saturday Sampler program, which was a block of the month that had 12 blocks, but it had 12 chain blocks in the middle, so it was alternating to make it a freaking huge quilt. So if you want to do that, you could do that. I didn't do that program. I didn't like any of the colorways for that one. I'm also trying to keep myself down to one Saturday Sampler. That way, I have time to do other things, because a Saturday Sampler block takes between cutting and sewing about an hour and a half. So I'm just like, I'd rather spend that extra half an hour to work on another project. Good morning, Pat, from, and I'm going to probably butcher this, and I apologize in advance, Muskoka, Ontario. How close did I do? Amy says that she likes winter because you could always put more clothes on. In the summer, you're limited to how many clothes you can take off. I agree to that. Although we've had somebody in the office wearing shorts. And I'm going to use the phrase, they aren't professional looking shorts. So, yeah, I was like, if she could wear shorts, I should be able to wear shorts. Because my legs look much better than hers, in my opinion. So, I, I like halfway threatening to wear shorts at work. Okay, I'm going to show you what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to try to show as best as I can because I know this camera setup sucks and I can't actually do what I'm about to do on this table because it's not a cutting mat. So the way that I square up my blocks, we have a diagonal line here, and then we have our straight lines that tell us where our measurements are. So what I do is I line the diagonal along the diagonal. And then I know what the size of the block is supposed to be. So I get the edge points also on the points. So this is supposed to be 4.5-inch square. So I have up here, the 4.5 is at a point. Down here, the 4.5 is at a point, and I'm on the diagonal. So if I do that, I could trim these two, and I know that I'm going to be perfectly square. And then I can flip it and then use the lines on my ruler, and then also the diagonal as a third point in order to square this up. I know it wasn't a great explanation, and one day I'm going to have a cutting cam, but that means, I have to have enough subscribers to get a fast enough paycheck from Google to watch the ads, or enough subscribers watching the ads so I can get a fast enough paycheck from Google. Because contrary to popular belief, YouTubers don't make anything unless you're like Mr. Beast. I've been looking at my Google stats. And I'm making about 20 bucks a month. Which, if you start to do the math at how many hours I put into this, that's not a lot per hour. But I'm having fun, and that's all that matters. And I said, if it essentially pays me the equivalent of 1 or 2 kits a year, it's worth it. If it pays me 1 or 2 kits a month, that'd be better. But I can't sew that much. And speaking of kits, I received my Fort Worth Fabric Studio as the Crowflies kit. So I will be sewing that up on my channel. Stephanie Stitches and Kathy's Cute Creations will be doing the tutorials on the Mondays that the patterns are released. and I will just be sewing along on Saturdays. The first pattern is being released this Monday. I've heard that it is just cutting. That's what Kathy's Cute Creation says, is that it's just cutting. So if it's just cutting, I have to figure out what I'm doing next week for my live. If there is a block with it, I will be sewing the block. But if it's just cutting, I don't do just cutting on here because you can't see what I'm doing. Okay, I've got 2 more of these to trim up. Good morning, Jackie. Sue says wear baggy shorts and call them man culottes. I have threatened to get a utility kilt. I don't think I have enough Scottish heritage to wear a proper kilt. But I can just see me going to the office wearing a kilt. My boss would lose it. And I would say, where in the employee handbook does it say a guy cannot wear a kilt? I would also make sure it didn't say in the employee handbook that a guy can't wear a kilt. But the advantage of working for a multinational company is they probably would never put that in the employee handbook. I think I'm going to need to figure out what I did with Fallon square up rulers, because this would have been a lot faster if I had that around. I unboxed them and they got put somewhere, and it's my fault for not remembering where I put them. I know her trim lock is right there, but that's not where the other ruler is. Now that I have all of them, Sousa, stay out of the wind. I would not wear a kilt traditionally. Oh, that just went in a conversation direction that I probably shouldn't have went, but so looking at the layout, it goes like this. And I know you can't see the whole thing, but the important thing is the center block has the dots, and the left and right have the dots, and they don't come together. And you make sure that in this case, the green and the dots come together. I like this. It looks right. I've got my long pieces going the correct direction. I'm going to pull these 3 off, put back on my seeing eyeglasses. Pat says she has a complete set of Fallon's trim lock rulers, and they are fabulous. I bought like a 4 set or a 5 set. I think they're just still in the kitchen, because I remember unboxing them and saying, okay, these just look interesting. And then a couple weeks ago, I saw somebody using them, And when I saw it used, I said, okay, these are no longer just interesting. These are perfect for quarter square triangles. Oh, look, and because we press them all consistently, I have nesting happening here. Bonus surprise. But yeah, because you can have it basically is a square. It's got diagonals, so you can line it up in the quarter square triangles area, and that's why I thought that exciting. Good morning, Kathleen, who is also in Marietta. I live in Marietta as well. Marietta is a huge city, so I don't expect you to be my neighbor. People have asked me, I'm like, I'm in the far west portion of East Cobb. Oh, Sean and Pat, you people are hilarious. There's a conversation going on where Pat said that she loves a kilted man and dated one, and Sean just ends up saying "me too." So we're trying to figure out, is it "me too" to the trim locks or "me too" to the dating a kilted man? Okay, Kathleen is near the east-west connector, so the other side of the city. I'm sure Kathleen knows a lot of the quilt shops that I go to. Or maybe she knows more that I don't know about. Oh, and she was married to a man who wore a kilt. Y'all are getting me more and more interested in wearing a kilt. I can see me just showing up to QuiltCon wearing a kilt. That would be hilarious. But then Sean wouldn't hang out with me. Kathleen says she loved the quilt show videos. Um she's a relatively new quilter, so she doesn't know all the shops yet. Well, you need to know all the shops. There's 3 in the area that I go to a lot. One of them is up East Piedmont and Sandy Plains. And East Piedmont and Sandy Plains is called Tiny Stitches. They have a lot of fun fabrics. They do classes, and that's the shop that I do Saturday Sampler with, which is what this sew along is. Their new Saturday Sampler program will be starting in August? Question mark. Oh, you are doing Saturday Sampler too. Okay, so you know Tiny Stitches. Another cool shop is up in Kennesaw called Cottontail Quilts. They are wonderful. The owner loves me to pieces. But yeah, they have an awesome boutique room and lots of great fabric and classes and stuff. So go visit them. And if you really love fabric, there is a quilt shop up and coming called Threadbare Fabrics. They're the people that I bought the Bumbleberry Pie quilt kit from, that Stephanie and I are working on slowly, and they're great. Again, the owners love me. Owners tend to love me. I don't know why. And Kathleen asked if I've ever done kilt chicken. I'm afraid to ask what that is. So I'm not going to ask what that is. Needless to say, I've never worn a kilt, so I've never done kilt chicken. Pat says, "Do it, Russ. It would take a lot of tartan to make Sean, who's 6'5", a kilt, unless he made a mini kilt." I'm 6'1", so it would still take a lot of tartan to make me one. We have gone a little crazy going on today, talking about kilts and then again, you never know where the conversation is going to go on a live stream. Sean, I think we're being roped into uh, making quilts, which I've never well, I have sewn in high school a garment, but I don't think I want to make a kilt. I have seen companies out there that make kilts, and that would be how I would do it if I ever got one. They're also like $300. So I would have to really know that I want to wear it if I'm going to spend $300. Thank you, Kathleen. She congratulated me on having my quilt in the show. As I joke, it didn't take much to get into the show. But it's always an honor to be able to say I had my quilt in a show. And I have ideas on what I want to do next year. It's going to be what I'm calling an interactive quilt, which is confusing a lot of people because they're like, you can't touch a quilt at a quilt show. And I said, I know, but you can still interact with it. I'm just not telling you how you can interact with it. KiltCon. Come on. One more seam and then the final press, as I will figure out how I want the final seams. Although I heard rumors that they had pressing directions in this one. I don't see pressing directions in this one, but I thought they had said in our Saturday sampler that there was a couple pressing directions. I prefer to press how the fabric wants to go. I don't know anything about tartan plaids. Don't know what they mean. I know there's a significance, and I know in I Love Lucy, when they were in England, there was that episode where Lucy wanted to go to Scotland and get a bolt of the family plaid. But instead, she decided to fall asleep and dream a musical episode. where she was the last of the McGillicuddies. Yes, I know way too much about I Love Lucy. Each family has their own unique plaid. I assumed that based on that comment about the family plaid. Okay, okay, it looks like this way is going to be the way to press. So I got to press out for these seams. I'd have to figure it out because, like, I know or I suspect there's a little bit of Scottish in the family tree. I don't know the full details, but if I could figure out, what portion of the family would have a tartan, that would be really cool to family homage it. So I have the block done. And now I gotta look yeah, okay, you can almost see it in the right light that, you can almost see it that the triangle here is backwards. Almost. It's very hard to tell. You have to look at it in the right light. So I will probably just put a note on this block that said you goofed in the quarter square triangles. And if we have fabric at the end of the project, I might remake it. I may not, because again, this all depends on my feeling of how does it seem to look at the end. But my points are pretty good. This point down here can use some improvement. I'm not going to worry about it because it's just too much work. This is not a show quilt. Shh. This is not going to be a show quilt. It's going to be a give somebody in the family quilt. So the only people who will know that it's backwards are me, y'all, and if anybody in the family decides to watch this video. So this is going in with the other blocks. So some of the other blocks, I think this was last month. This was a couple months ago. There's another block which is not in this pile. So this is going to go with the pile, and I will show it at Saturday Sampler come next month, and then pick up my next block, and hopefully it will be an easier block to find to share with y'all. So what's coming up, as I alluded to, we have the Jelly Roll race on Stephanie's channel this afternoon at 4. This is the fabrics that I'm using. It's called Bluish from Zen Chic. I haven't opened it up yet because all the Jelly Roll fuzz, we know all the fuzz that happens. Ah, Stephanie was back in time to see it. Oh wait, she wants to see it. I'm sorry, she wasn't in time to see it. She wants to see it. There you go, Stephanie. That's the block. So working on this Jelly Roll race on Stephanie's channel, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We're doing it for charity. Tomorrow is Stephanie's retreat, so if you have signed up, I will see you there. If you did not get in, hopefully I'll see you at the next retreat that they do, Stephanie and Shannon's retreat. And then tomorrow evening is my weekly vlog with all the shenanigans that I've gotten up to in the week. Probably going to be a little bit later than usual because I can't record it until after the retreat, because I'm sure that I'm going to be wanting to talk about the retreat and how awesome it is. So, and it takes time to put the vlog together and get it uploaded. So it's probably going to be a little bit later, but it still should show up tomorrow evening. And then there's going to be lots of lives this week, lots of videos, and everything across the whole YouTube. So give everybody a little bit of love. So that's going to be about it for me. I need to go cut fabric for the projects and reprint my goof because I can't use both sides of a piece of paper for foundation paper piecing. I haven't gotten to be that good yet. So I hope everybody has an awesome rest of your day. I'm going to cut fabric. I'm going to hopefully show up at the neighborhood block party for a few minutes and see everybody back at 4 p.m. on Stephanie's channel. Toodles!